Hello gamers, today we're going to be beginning my Let's Play of Lucid's 2020 tournament game 11, I believe. You can see it's going to be using a few mods. This one supposedly improves casting AI, this one adds a bunch of items for temporary gems in battle. I have no idea what Rebirth does. Worthy Heroes is used to make some nations arbitrarily broken, like middle-aged Arco, who gets a bunch of stealthy, dom-spreading, inspiring researchers. I am playing Arco, but not Middle Ages, so I don't know what this does for me. I've already made and uploaded my Pretender, still waiting on the first turn to start, but let's take a look at that and see what we've got. Let's see. Here he is. So this is Karl Marx's final form, the Bronze Colossus. The Bronze Colossus is basically the Pretender chassis you take if you're playing vanilla, and you can take him. He's basically the best. He does start dormant. You're forced into doing that, otherwise he'd just win the game. You can see he's got some pretty good numbers here. Numbers are very large. Protection is 31, 25 base, plus 6 earth. I've also taken the hard skin bless, which is it's really going to make him. This is a broken chassis. Also taken the Windwalker Bless. This will allow him to be wherever I need him to be once he's woken up. Oh yeah, he's also resistant to every basic damage type, so this protection is even higher. Just a really balanced chassis. Not really much more to say on the man himself. For scales, we're going Turmoil 3, which basically affords us luck 3. A little bit of a gamble here, but hey, I like risks. Productivity 2, just because Arco is a little resource heavy, especially on their higher end troops. Heat 3, because this doesn't really matter. Growth 1, slow income increase, and Magic 1 just to help a little with research. Now, Arcosophail's units, let's go over those. So, for troops, we get the Slinger. Not very good on its own. I think you start with these in your starting army. We can do Flaming Arrows eventually, which makes these quite the terror. Next we have the Cardaces. Not really much here. Basic troop, spear, basic morale. They do have formation fighter, which is nice. You can cram a lot of these guys into a line, and they hold a line pretty good. Maybe not these ones so much because they have protection 9. The Pell Test. This guy, this is our real star. Very cheap on all 3 resources to recruit. Map move 14, decent. Stats are nothing to write home about. They have javelins. Set these bad boys to fire closest, and they just hurl off a cloud of projectiles. Pretty good for clearing out indies. Not much besides that. You can buff them with flaming arrows, but it's only ammo 2 on these, so it won't really do much. It's more for the slingers here. We have the Icarids, which are... I probably should have gone Cold 3 actually, but it's not mind that. I doubt anyone's going to be using fire magic against me. Pretty basic stats all around. A little resource heavy. Their protection isn't great for the resource cost. Encumbrance is a little high, but they can fly. which is potentially useful against a few nations. Just have these guys hold and attack rear. The Myrmidon. These guys are very slow, very encumbered, but their morale and protection are great. Formation fighter as well. Bronze sword, which is not the best, but they will get the job done against, I guess, more threatening indies. Not much use in a real fight, though. We have chariots and chariot archers. These are just great for expansion. They're tramplers. Trampling is always good. Protection 16, which is better than elephants, though their hit points are not better than elephants. They are less likely to rout, though. Elephants basically rout instantly, so HP doesn't matter a whole lot there. Attack skill doesn't matter. Anything that they're hitting with this sword is not something you should be sending them against. Chariot archer, who cares? Wind Rider. These guys are quite expensive, but they're flying cavalry, good stats. They're fast. With Windwalker, they just zip around everywhere. Good morale. They're not really worth a big bless. I guess Heartskin actually does help them a bit as well. 22 protection on flying cavalry is terrifying. But that is, of course, an incarnate bless. Can be useful for expansion. Maybe. They're a bit expensive. I'll probably be using the chariots more, honestly, just for the first few turns. They're more reliable as well. Commanders, we have our basic scout. I'm not even going to bother. We have the engineer. Very cheap. Doesn't really... Actually, yeah, he's got bonuses for siege and castle defense. That could be useful. He's an old man. The biggest use of them is the Mason tag, which just lets me build even better forts. The Skeptic. These guys are really funny for just being a dick. I wouldn't say viable, unless you have a neighbor that's mistakenly not taken at least 6 Dominion on their Pretender. If you find some poor, sorry fool like that, I mean, you'll probably crush him in a battle, but just in case you don't feel like fighting him, you can make a couple of these guys. They are only 1 commander point, and what does Arco get? I think the forts that engineers can make might give 3 commander points, but even at just 2, you can pump out 2 of these guys a turn, so that's 6 points worth of heretic to just go shove on someone's capital. Icarid champion, much the same as the Icarids. These guys are actually decent leaders. Not a whole lot to say here, honestly. They fly, so they can lead the Icarids around. Myrmidon champion, better leadership. Pretty much just a standard good commander, honestly. Their protection's decent. They're wearing a hat, so they're not going to get sniped by an archer. The Mystic. The Mystics of Arcosafale are quite good. You have a base 1 Astral, so they can always Communion, and 3 possible paths on top of that. So you have a lot of options for getting big into any one school, or even just using some cross paths. Like you've got Acid here with Fire and Water. Fire and Earth gives you Magma. They're good at crafting specific items as well. Like you can get Rune Smashers pretty easily, Earth Boots, Dwarf Hammers. Just a lot of options. These guys are good. They are pricey, but their research is good and their utility is good. Oh, these ones actually don't start out... I think Middle Age Arcosafale, the Mystics have a higher starting age, which kind of sucks. Other than that, not much to write home about. Their precision's basic. They don't have any protection. Next we have the Melissa. Nature 1 can potentially be Nature 2 or N1A1. There's some stuff you can do there, but they're pretty pricey. The healer tag is nice, since you have some old men. The supply bonuses always potentially useful. Not really a lot to say here. They are priests that can research, so that's something, I guess. You can make one of these and it can build all of your temples and labs just on one commander, which definitely handy to have. The Philosopher, these guys are cheap researchers, and if you have sloth scales, they research better. Productivity, they research worse. They're old. There's no real reason to build these guys. Honestly, they're not worth it. They're not worth it. The Wind Lord is a combat caster, which is interesting. It's only Holy 1, so unless I do some weird empowering stuff, I'm not going to get much use out of that. I guess I can smite, actually. I can smite or banish? I forget what Holy 1 gets. Biggest use for these is just going to be leading the Wind Riders, honestly. Mage Engineer, as the name suggests, he does what a Mason does, as well as having some mage abilities. Can potentially be Air 2, which is useful in its own way. Not a lot to talk about with this thing, honestly. Precision is below average, which is not great. Actually really bad morale. And they are very old, so probably won't be seeing much use out of these guys. The Oreo is the big cap-only, slow-to-recruit mage. It is an assassin mage, which is always funny. It's got awe. It's got quite a good awe score, actually. Air 2, Earth 1, Nature 3, as base paths. Pretty good spread. Honestly, just a very good mage. You can do a lot with these. You can get into Storm, do Wrathful Skies, Thunder Strikes. Thunder Strike's very good. I don't think it gets as much use as it normally should in Ruby games, just because everyone takes fire shock resistance. This lets you summon air elementals too, which is nice. Just a good spread of paths to do some good buffs, some good battlefield enchantments. Sacred too, can't bless herself, but she does have that going for her. So Windwalker will apply. I think Hardskin has to actually be blessed, though. But yeah, just a good mage. Expensive, but she's worth it. That's pretty much an overview. I don't think any of the mods that are in place will greatly change Arcosaphale. Worthy Heroes might add... I forget what it gives early age, but it might be a bunch of broken shit. Who knows? I don't expect to win this game. In fact, I expect to have a quick and brutal loss. So, basically, if I survive long enough for the Bronze Colossus to even exist, I'm going to call that a victory. Someone suggested, I forget what, for just a bully build for EA Arco. I'll probably be going with that just because I'm completely uncreative and prefer to be told what to do. Maybe get some good items for the Colossus, Cloud Trapeze him around. Just a lot of options. Every Arco has a lot of options for what you can do with them, and that is what I like the most about them. Let me actually see who my opponents are. What other nations do we have here? I was last pick, by the way, so I had originally planned to play Abyssia and just do a pretty funny gimmick. But what we have instead is Arco. My opponents are Femoria. Not super concerned. I mean, Fomoria's good, and they don't have the JBBM nerfs, which is nice. Fomorian Kings are good thugs. Agartha, which is just... I think Agartha is probably one of the... Agartha and Femoria are definitely two of the best nations in early ages. Agartha could be a problem. Magma Kids are frightening. Kalem, more annoying than anything. Very frustrating to have to fight, though. Ubar, which I really hope I don't neighbor Ubar, because I don't have magic weapons, I don't have Spirit Sight. It'd just be an absolute pain in the ass to deal with them. Hinnom, always good, probably going to be a Hellbless coming out of them. Mictlan, likewise. Abyssia, also pretty difficult to deal with. Just very good troops there. Good mages, but great troops. Tirnanog, which they are elves, always frustrating to deal with. Banned nations this game were Vanheim, Pan, Nephil, and Therados, which are all very good in my opinion. This was, I think water nations are allowed in these tournament games, which is a strange change of pace. I guess Therados was the only one really worth banning. Overall, these are all pretty good nations. I think Mictlan might be the easiest to deal with, just because their troops low protection. Actually, no, Jaguars getting hit with javelins and sling bullets will not be fun for me. Kalem's probably the weakest, but also the most annoying to fight right out of the gate, I'd like to say. I don't know how close quarters this map is going to be. I think it's like 16 provinces per player. I don't know any of these people, and I don't know how diplomacy normally goes in Lucid games. So I guess we'll just have to see. Arco's definitely still a powerhouse. I think I just take a little bit longer to get going than most of these other nations. That's pretty much all I have to say on this. Don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not a good player in any way. I'm sure someone's going to immediately comment about how I was wrong about something or missed something when talking about my nation or these other nations. Yeah. Alright, gamers. Well, I am now committed to doing this. So we will see how turn 1 and beyond go. Thank you, and goodbye.